John Wick has survived assassins, crime lords, and an entire continental army coming for his head. He operates like a machine. Every shot calculated, every move deliberate, every contract executed with surgical precision. But here's the question nobody's asked. What happens when the target's already dead and the thing hunting him back doesn't have a nervous system to destroy? Could peak human ballistics, a Kevlar suit, and a tactical genius actually stop an undead force of nature? Or is John Wick mathematically doomed the moment he steps onto the damp soil of Camp Crystal Lake? The contract and the corpse. The file is thin. A high-value syndicate target. Last confirmed location, Camp Crystal Lake, upstate New York. Abandoned for decades, the camp sits rotting in the trees. Warped cabin doors, collapsed docks, a lake that sits too still for a place surrounded by wind. Wick moves through it in the way he moves through everything. Quiet, deliberate, eyes tracking every shadow. He finds the target in the mess hall, or what's left of him. The body is folded completely in half, spine snapped at the thoracic vertebrae, rib cage compressed inward like a crushed aluminum can. To do that to a human body, you need to overcome the compressive yield strength of the vertebral column, which sits somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 newtons of force applied directly and rapidly. For context, a hydraulic industrial press used in auto manufacturing generates roughly that same force. Whatever did this didn't use a tool. It used its hands. Wick crouches, reads the scene, and stands. He's already backing toward the door. That's when he hears it. Heavy footsteps on wet leaves, maybe 40 feet behind him. No breathing. No hesitation in the stride, just weight and pressure, in the slow, deliberate rhythm of something that has nowhere else to be. He doesn't run, he turns, raises his customized 2011 pistol, and puts a 9mm hollow point directly into the center mass of the figure stepping out of the tree line. Then another, then one more in the head. A textbook Mozambique drill. The same triple tap sequence used by military and law enforcement to guarantee a stop against a determined attacker. The figure in the hockey mask doesn't stop, doesn't flinch, doesn't even change its pace. Here's why that matters. A standard 9mm hollow point works by expanding on impact, creating a wound channel that causes rapid blood pressure loss and hydrostatic shock to the central nervous system. That's how you stop a human threat. But Jason Voorhees, in his post-Part 6 undead state, doesn't have functioning blood pressure to drop. His cardiovascular system isn't running. His brain's pain and motor interrupt signals have long since decayed past the point of responding to hydrostatic shock. The hollow point punches through necrotic tissue and keeps moving, doing structural damage that his body simply doesn't register as a reason to stop. Wick has put 3 rounds into a confirmed kill zone and gotten 0 result. Survival tier right now, a solid B. He has distance, a full magazine minus 3 rounds, and his situational awareness is completely intact. He knows immediately that standard assassination tactics are off the table. That's actually the most dangerous version of John Wick, the one who just had his entire playbook invalidated and is already building a new one in real time. But building a new plan takes time, and Jason Voorhees is closing the gap at a slow, unstoppable walk that is somehow faster than it looks. The forest engagement. Jason covers 40 feet in seconds. Not sprinting, walking. That's the part that breaks your brain. There is no urgency in the movement. No acceleration, just a constant mechanical forward pressure that doesn't account for the possibility of failure. Wick sidesteps the first swing of the rusted machete by inches, and the blade catches the left side of his suit jacket instead of his torso. That suit just saved his arm. Wick's jacket is lined with aramid fiber, the same material family as Kevlar, woven tight enough to resist edged weapons by distributing the blade's kinetic energy laterally across the weave rather than allowing it to concentrate at a single cutting point. Against a knife or a standard machete swing, that distribution prevents penetration. The fabric holds no laceration. What it cannot do is stop the physics underneath the cut. Jason's swing carries somewhere in a neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 joules of rotational kinetic energy, comparable to being sideswiped by a car doing 40 miles per hour. The aramid fibers absorb the edge, but the blunt force transfers straight through the jacket into Wick's rib cage. At that energy level, you're looking at a stress fracture to at least one rib, possibly two. Every breath Wick takes from this point forward is gonna feel like swallowing broken glass. His lung capacity just dropped. His movement speed just dropped. His window to fix this problem just got significantly smaller. He creates distance, rolls left, comes up behind a tree, and fires again. This time, he runs the full Mozambique drill twice in rapid succession. 6 rounds, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, repeated. He's not expecting it to work. He's buying himself 3 seconds to think. It doesn't work. Here's the hard science on why. Standard hollow points, even premium defensive loads, rely on a chain reaction. Penetration, expansion, blood pressure loss, CNS disruption. That chain requires a functioning circulatory system and a nervous system that responds to damage signals. Jason's tissue, in his post-resurrection state, is necrotic. Decomposed muscle doesn't bleed out. There's no hemoglobin carrying oxygen that can be disrupted. Hydrostatic shock, the pressure wave a bullet sends through fluid-filled tissue, requires living tissue with hydraulic properties to transmit that wave to the brain. Necrotic tissue doesn't behave that way. It absorbs the round structurally like wet clay and keeps moving. Wick's primary offensive tool is statistically irrelevant. Survival tier drops hard. We're at a D now. He has a cracked rib, diminishing ammunition, and a target his entire skill set was built to kill that simply cannot be killed by the methods he's trained for. Most people in that situation freeze. Wick doesn't freeze, but even controlled retreat through dense forest has a hard biological ceiling. That ceiling is lactic acid. When you sprint or push through high-intensity movement under stress, your muscles produce lactic acid faster than your body can clear it. Elite athletes, and Wick is operating at that tier, can sustain that output longer than average, but the wall still comes. Heart rate climbs toward 180, 190 beats per minute. Oxygen debt accumulates. Motor control starts degrading. Decision-making slows. Jason's muscle produces none of that. No lactic acid, no oxygen dependency, no fatigue response. He will walk through these woods at the exact same pace in 10 minutes as if he is right now. Wick is being hunted to exhaustion by something that doesn't get tired, and the math on that is brutal. The Punisher's intervention. Wick's back hits the ravine edge. Loose gravel crumbles under his heels. And 40 feet below, black water catches what little moonlight filters through the canopy. Jason is 20 feet away and closing. Wick has 3 rounds left in his current magazine. A cracked rib that's making every breath a negotiation and exactly 0 good options. Then the tree line cracks open. A .50 caliber round hits Jason's center mass and blows him backward off his feet. 250 pounds of undead mass lands hard in the dirt. And for a single second, the woods go completely quiet. From the darkness between the pines, a figure moves forward. Skull logo on the chest, 12 gauge in hand, expression that suggests he's done this kind of thing before and found it boring. Frank Castle doesn't say much. He racks the shotgun and fires. A 12 gauge slug, a single 1-ounce projectile moving at roughly 1,600 feet per second, delivers somewhere around 3,000 joules of kinetic energy on impact. That's not a bullet. That's a small car crash concentrated into a circle the size of a quarter. Even with Jason's supernatural tissue density, that kind of kinetic transfer disrupts gross motor function temporarily. The sheer mechanical force overloads the structural integrity of the muscle groups controlling his torso and legs. He doesn't feel it, but physics doesn't care whether you feel it. The energy still moves through the mass, and the mass still goes down. Castle fires 3 more times. Jason stays down. This is where Castle makes the mistake that gets him killed. He steps forward to confirm the kill. It's a trained instinct. Close the distance, you verify, you move on. Against a human target, even a determined one, that instinct is correct. Against Jason Voorhees, it is a fatal miscalculation. Castle gets within arm's reach, and Jason's hand comes up from the ground and closes around his throat. The grip strength required to collapse a human trachea sits around 400 to 600 psi under clinical estimates. Jason's documented grip, extrapolated from the structural damage left on victims in the source material, exceeds 1,000 psi. The trachea is cartilage and soft tissue. It is not built for that load. It compresses, buckles, and the airway closes. Castle can't draw breath. His carotid arteries are partially occluded, cutting cerebral blood flow. Consciousness goes in seconds. The 12 gauge hits the dirt. Wick doesn't look away. He's already moving. Castle's death buys exactly 14 seconds of Jason's attention. Enough for Wick to push off the ravine edge, cut left through the trees, and put distance between himself and the kill zone. 14 seconds is not a lot. It's enough. But the math has gotten significantly worse. Castle brought heavy military ordnance into the fight. A 50 cal platform, a 12 gauge, presumably more. And the net result was 14 seconds of distraction and a dead vigilante. If that level of firepower only brought 14 seconds, Wick's remaining 3 pistol rounds are effectively decorative. He is out of conventional options. His ribs cracked, his oxygen efficiency is degraded, his ammunition is nearly gone. Survival tier hits F. Not because Wick has stopped thinking, he hasn't, but because every tool designed to stop a human threat has now been tested and failed. What's left isn't firepower. What's left is the camp itself, and whatever physics the environment can be made to do. The final stand at the lake. The boathouse is 40 yards ahead, sitting half collapsed over the water's edge. Wick hits the door with his shoulder and moves inside. Rotting planks, rusted mooring hardware, a smell like algae and old diesel. He finds what he needs on a shelf above a gutted outboard motor. 3 Dragon's Breath shells, still sealed in their original packaging. Specialty incendiary ammunition loaded with magnesium flakes instead of lead shot. Not standard, not legal in most jurisdictions. Exactly what he needs right now. He loads 2 into the shotgun Castle dropped at the ravine, keeps 1 in reserve. Jason comes through the door 30 seconds later. Not through the doorway, through the door. Taking the frame and a sectional wall with him, Wick fires from 8 feet away. Dragon's Breath ignites on exit. Magnesium burns at approximately 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than a steel foundry, hotter than most industrial cutting torches. It cannot be smothered with water because magnesium reacts with water and burns harder. At point-blank range, the flakes saturate Jason's upper torso and hood, and the fire takes hold immediately. Even necrotic tissue has a dehydration threshold. At sustained temperatures above 1,500 degrees, muscle protein denatures and carbonizes. The tissue stops being tissue and starts being char. The tendons controlling Jason's shoulder and arm movement begin to contract and fail. His machete drops. Wick fires the second shell into the same zone. The momentary loss of gross motor function in Jason's upper body is the window. It's small, maybe 6 seconds. But Wick's been operating on smaller margins than that all night. He grabs the heaviest mooring chain off the wall, wraps it twice around Jason's torso and arms, and drives a hard kick into Jason's sternum, sending him backward through the already weakened floorboards. Jason hits the lake. Here's the physics. High-density steel chain, the kind used for boat mooring, runs approximately 15 to 20 pounds per linear foot. 2 full wraps around a 250-pound frame uses roughly 8 feet of chain. adding 120 to 160 pounds of negative buoyancy. Jason's body, even with supernatural density, cannot generate enough upward force to overcome that anchor load at depth. He sinks. The magnesium, still burning, reacts briefly with the water around him, and for a moment, the surface of Crystal Lake glows orange from below. Then it stops. The light fades. The water goes dark and flat and still. Wick stands at the edge of the broken floor, breathing through the cracked rib and shallow, controlled pulls, watching the surface. Nothing comes up. He waits 30 seconds. 60. The lake gives him nothing back. Survival tier climbs to an A, not because he killed Jason, he didn't, and he knows it, but because he used thermodynamics and basic physics to do what 6 magazines, a 9mm, and a 50 caliber rifle could not. Remove Jason from the equation. You can't kill what's already dead. You can only change the geometry of the problem. Wick picks up the last dragon's breath shell, pockets it, and walks out of the boathouse into the cold air. Behind him, the lake sits perfectly still. He bought himself a night, maybe 2, before those chains rust through at the bottom of Crystal Lake. You can outsmart a monster with physics, but you cannot kill what's already dead. If you want to see who we drop into the next impossible fight, like and subscribe. We're just getting started.